In 2025, getting on a plane or crossing a border has become a lot more complicated for many people. It's not just about packing your bags and remembering your passport anymore. New government rules have started to change the entire experience of travel, especially for people of color and those from certain countries. These changes are not small things. They are big shifts in policy that are creating a lot of worry and confusion. Families who have been waiting to see each other, students hoping to study abroad, and workers with jobs in the United States are finding themselves caught in a web of new regulations that feel confusing and, to some, deeply unfair. The heart of the problem is a feeling that these new rules are not applied equally to everyone. Imagine you are from a country that is suddenly on a restricted list. Or maybe you come from a community where immigration raids have become more common. The simple act of planning a trip now comes with an extra layer of stress. People are asking themselves, will my visa be approved? Will I be stopped and questioned at the airport? Will my family be separated because of a policy that was announced overnight? These are not just abstract questions, they are real-life concerns that are affecting thousands of people every single day, turning what should be an exciting journey into a source of anxiety. This situation is particularly visible in places with large immigrant communities like Florida and California. In these states, news of stricter visa rules and immigration enforcement actions travels quickly through neighborhoods. People share stories about friends who were detained or relatives whose visa applications were denied without a clear explanation. These stories create a climate of fear that spreads far beyond the individuals directly affected. It impacts how people live their lives, whether they feel safe going to work or school, and whether they can confidently plan for their future. The dream of travel, of connecting with the world, starts to feel like a privilege reserved for only a select few. The core issue is that these policies, while presented as measures for national security, are having a very personal and often painful impact on regular people. The focus has shifted from simple travel logistics to a much bigger conversation about fairness, race, and belonging. For many minority communities, this is not just about a single travel ban or a new visa form. It feels like a pattern of actions that systematically makes their lives harder. It changes how they see their place in the country and in the world, and it raises difficult questions about what it means to be a traveler in this new and uncertain landscape. The most significant change in 2025 has been the introduction of a new, more expansive travel ban. This is not just a repeat of previous policies, it is a much broader set of restrictions that affects more people in more ways. The executive order, enacted in June 2025, completely bars entry for people from 12 specific countries. These nations are Afghanistan, Chad, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Myanmar, the Republic of Congo, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. In addition to this full ban, there are partial travel restrictions placed on 7 other countries, making it harder for their citizens to get certain types of visas. What makes this ban different from earlier versions is its strictness and its wide reach. For example, it directly impacts the family members of refugees and asylees who are already living legally in the United States. This means people who have fled war or persecution and have found safety in the United States are now blocked from bringing their spouses or children to join them. Furthermore, the 2025 ban does not include a hardship waiver, which in the past allowed for exceptions in urgent humanitarian cases, like for someone needing life-saving medical treatment. The American Immigration Council estimates this will block at least 34,000 immigrant visas and over 125,000 non-immigrant visas each year. Beyond the travel ban itself, the government has also made other administrative changes that create more obstacles for immigrants. For instance, the rules for obtaining temporary protected status, a program for people from countries facing natural disasters or civil war, have been tightened. It has also become more difficult for people to seek asylum. There have even been reports of student visas being revoked and people being arrested at immigration courts, which were once considered safe places. These actions taken together create a much more hostile environment for anyone trying to navigate the United States immigration system. The human cost of these policies is immense. We are talking about students who have had their educational dreams cut short, workers separated from their jobs and livelihoods, and families torn apart across continents. For people from the banned countries, the message feels clear and painful: you are not welcome here. The policy affects not just those trying to enter, but also communities within the United States who feel targeted and isolated. It creates a ripple effect of fear and uncertainty, changing the lives of thousands who are simply trying to build a better future or connect with their loved ones. In response to these new policies, advocacy groups and community leaders have been very vocal in their opposition. Organizations like the Council on American Islamic Relations and the Arab Resource and Organizing Center have strongly condemned the travel ban. They argue that the policy is not really about national security. Instead, they say it is a discriminatory measure designed to target people based on their race, religion, and national origin. These groups describe the ban as a racist and white supremacist policy because it overwhelmingly affects Black, brown, and Muslim communities. These organizations are not just making statements, they are taking action. They are providing legal help to people affected by the ban, organizing protests, and speaking to the media to raise public awareness. They point out that the list of banned countries is made up of predominantly Muslim and African nations, which they believe is not a coincidence. Their argument is that if the goal was truly security, the government would use specific intelligence to target individuals who pose a threat, not ban entire populations. By blocking entry for everyone from certain countries, they say the government is unfairly punishing millions of innocent people. The criticism extends beyond the travel ban to other government actions such as immigration raids. In June 2025, for example, federal agencies, including ICE and the National Guard, conducted large-scale raids in communities in Los Angeles. Eyewitnesses reported seeing masked, heavily armed agents detaining dozens of people. Advocacy groups called these raids violent and militarized, arguing that they are meant to intimidate and terrorize immigrant communities. They see these aggressive enforcement tactics as part of the same strategy as the travel ban, a strategy aimed at making life as difficult as possible for people of color. These groups work to highlight the real-world consequences of these policies. They share the stories of families who have been separated and individuals who are living in constant fear of deportation. They want the public to understand that these are not just abstract political debates. They are actions that have a devastating impact on human lives. By speaking out, these organizations hope to challenge the government's narrative and build support for more humane and just immigration policies. They believe that everyone, regardless of where they were born, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. The government, particularly the Department of Homeland Security, has a very different explanation for these policies. Officials have repeatedly stated that their actions are based on law and are necessary to protect national security. When accused of racial profiling, the Department of Homeland Security has issued strong denials. In a statement from June 2025, the department called such claims categorically false. It insisted that its enforcement operations, which are carried out by agencies like ICE, are not based on race or ethnicity. Instead, they say their operations are highly targeted, focusing on individuals who have violated immigration laws or have a criminal history. The government defends its enforcement actions by saying they are essential for maintaining order and upholding the law. The Department of Homeland Security has also expressed concern about the safety of its officers, pointing to what it calls a 500% increase in assaults on its personnel. The department attributes this rise in violence to inflammatory rhetoric from critics. From the government's perspective, they are simply doing their job to enforce the laws that Congress has passed. They argue that without strong enforcement, the country's borders would be insecure and the integrity of the immigration system would be undermined. When specific incidents are brought up, the government often provides a different interpretation of events. For instance, when reports surfaced that ICE was targeting children's shelters in the Florida Keys, the Department of Homeland Security responded by saying this was not true. The department clarified that its agents were not there to conduct enforcement raids, but were instead performing welfare checks on unaccompanied minors to ensure their safety. This is a common pattern. Where advocacy groups see intimidation and harassment, the government sees routine law enforcement or administrative procedures designed to protect people. Ultimately, the government's position is that these tough measures, from the travel ban to increased interior enforcement, are vital for the safety and security of the United States. Officials argue that they are making difficult but necessary decisions to protect the country from potential threats. They maintain that their policies are legal, constitutional, and applied without prejudice. This creates a deep divide between how the government describes its actions and how those actions are experienced by the communities they affect, leaving families, students, and workers caught in the middle of a deeply contentious debate.